High in the mountains of northern Ethiopia, far away from the world's famous museums, there is a small monastery, a place that from the outside looks simple: old stone walls, quiet surroundings, and a community of monks following a tradition that has lasted for centuries. But inside this monastery are two books unlike almost anything else in the world, books that have survived wars, time, and generations of change, books that are more than 1,500 years old. They are known as the Garima Gospels, ancient Christian manuscripts written by hand, decorated with beautiful artwork, and preserved in Ethiopia for over a millennium. But these books are not important only because of their age. They tell a much bigger story. A story about Africa's ancient Christian heritage, a story about the Kingdom of Aksum, and a story about how Ethiopia became one of the oldest Christian civilizations on Earth. Welcome to Aksum Code. Today, we're going back more than 1,600 years to discover the hidden story of the Garima Gospels. Christianity in Africa before Europe. When many people think about the history of Christianity, they often imagine Europe, ancient churches, medieval cathedrals, European kings. But Christianity did not begin in Europe. It began in the Middle East, and very early in its history, it reached Africa. By the 1st century after Christ, Christian communities already existed in places like Egypt. The city of Alexandria became one of the most important centers of early Christianity. African scholars and theologians played a major role in shaping Christian thought. Figures such as Origen of Alexandria, Athanasius, Tertullian, and Augustine of Hippo all lived and worked in Africa. Long before Christianity became the dominant religion of many European kingdoms, Africa was already a major center of Christian learning. But far to the south, another extraordinary Christian story was beginning. In the highlands of modern Ethiopia and Eritrea, a powerful kingdom was rising, the Kingdom of Aksum. The Kingdom of Aksum. More than 1,600 years ago, Aksum was one of the great civilizations of the ancient world. It controlled important trade routes across the Red Sea. Its merchants connected Africa with Arabia, India, and the Roman Empire. Gold, ivory, spices, and precious goods passed through its markets. Ancient writers recognized Aksum as one of the powerful kingdoms of its time. But Aksum was not only important because of trade, it became one of the earliest kingdoms to officially embrace Christianity, and that transformation began with a king. King Ezana and the birth of Ethiopian Christianity. Around the 4th century, King Ezana ruled the Kingdom of Aksum. During his reign, Christianity became the official religion of the kingdom. According to historical records, this change was strongly connected to a Christian teacher named Frumentius. Frumentius later became the first bishop of Aksum. The king's conversion changed the future of Ethiopia. The cross began appearing on Aksumite coins, churches were established, Christian communities grew, and the Bible was translated into Ge'ez, the ancient language of Ethiopia. This happened at a time when Christianity itself was still becoming established across the world. The Roman Empire had only recently accepted Christianity, but in Aksum, a Christian tradition was already taking deep roots, a tradition that would survive for more than 16 centuries. And centuries later, that tradition would produce one of its greatest treasures, the Garima Gospels. A monastery hidden in the mountains. Near the ancient city of Aksum, close to the town of Adwa, stands Abba Garima Monastery. According to Ethiopian tradition, the monastery was founded by a monk named Abba Garima. He's remembered as one of the 9 saints, a group of monks who helped strengthen Christianity and monastic life in Ethiopia.
For generations, monks at this monastery copied and protected sacred texts. Before printing existed, every book had to be written by hand. A single manuscript could take months or even years to complete. Scribes carefully prepared animal parchment. They created ink from natural materials, and they copied every word with extraordinary patience. Among the manuscripts preserved at Abba Garima, two books became especially important: the Garima Gospels. The Garima Gospels. The Garima Gospels are not a complete Bible. They contain the four Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They were written in Ge'ez, the ancient liturgical language of the Ethiopian Church. The manuscripts exist as two main volumes, known as Garima I and Garima II. For many years, scholars believed these books were much younger. Some thought they were created during the medieval period, but modern science changed that understanding. A discovery through science. In the early 2000s, scientists used carbon dating to examine samples of the parchment. The results surprised researchers. The parchment of Garima II was dated approximately between the late 4th and 6th centuries. Garima I was dated somewhat later, around the 6th to 7th centuries. This discovery completely changed the importance of the manuscripts. These were not ordinary medieval books. They were among the earliest surviving illustrated Christian manuscripts known today. Their survival was extraordinary, because very few manuscripts from this period remain anywhere in the world. The art inside the pages. The Garima Gospels are valuable not only because of their age, they are also masterpieces of ancient Christian art. Inside the manuscripts are beautifully decorated pages, colorful designs, detailed portraits of the four evangelists, and complex artistic patterns. The famous canon tables, the pages that organize gospel passages, are decorated with impressive architectural designs. The artwork shows that Ethiopia was not isolated from the wider Christian world. Aksum was connected to other civilizations. Ideas traveled across trade routes. Artists interacted with traditions from different regions. But Ethiopian Christianity developed its own unique style. The Garima Gospels are proof of that. They are not simply copies of another culture. They represent Ethiopia's own artistic voice. How did they survive? Perhaps the greatest mystery is not how the books were created, it's how they survived. Thousands of ancient manuscripts have disappeared, destroyed by war, fire, climate, or simply the passage of time. But the Garima Gospels remained protected inside the monastery. For centuries, generation after generation of monks cared for them. During difficult periods in Ethiopian history, when kingdoms changed and conflict spread, these manuscripts survived. They remained where they had been preserved for centuries, hidden away but never forgotten. Why they matter today. Today, the Garima Gospels are recognized as one of Ethiopia's greatest historical treasures. They tell us something important. Africa was not only a place where history happened. Africa was a place where knowledge was created, where art was developed, where books were written, and where ancient traditions were preserved. The Garima Gospels connect us to a world more than 1,500 years old, a world of kings, monks, artists, and scholars, a world where Ethiopia stood as one of the earliest centers of Christianity. A small monastery in the Ethiopian highlands holds two books that survived for more than 15 centuries. They survived because generations of people understood their value. They protected them, they preserved them, and they passed them forward. This is the story of Ethiopia's hidden Gospels, and this is the history that deserves to be heard. If you enjoyed discovering forgotten stories from Africa's past, subscribe to Aksum Code, because history becomes more powerful when we understand it. Until next time, keep exploring the stories the world almost forgot.